I look at my work and say, is this the best I can do? And if not, then why not? And if not, then what do I need to do to make it better? And I think it's a good thing that we can measure our life with. Am I doing well? If not, how can I make it better?
There's a tear in my beer, 'cause I'm crying for you, dear. You are on my lonely mind. Into these last 9 years, I've shed tears. You are on my lonely mind. I'm gonna keep on drinking till I can't prove a toe. And then maybe my heart won't hurt me so. There's a tear.
My dad became fascinated with guns when he was a little boy. This would have been back in the 30s. His family lived in Junction, and there were some retired Texas Rangers that would come around the shop where my grandpa worked. And they had these fancy engraved Colt single actions. And as a little boy, my dad got to see them. And he became intrigued with those, and he always wanted to know how to make a gun look pretty like that. And so, fast forwarding a little bit into the 60s, Dad met an old German man who told him, no, don't try to push that with a burin. You use a hammer and a chisel. You use that hammer to drive that chisel through the steel. And so that was sort of an epiphany for Dad. He's like, well, why didn't I think of that? So I was a kid running around in the shop, seeing these guys, using a hammer and chisel to create beautiful guns. And so it was just normal to me. Kind of whatever your dad does is perceived as normal to a kid. And I didn't think of it being any different, really. So going a little forward in time, I was around it from that point. And when I was 17, I asked my dad if he would teach me how to do engraving. And what he said was very profound. He said, I will show you everything I know. What you pick up will be up to you. And I said, okay, when do we start? So we started in August of 1979. We worked together, I was just the rank apprentice, and I worked from August until October. And I had progressed to the point where he thought I could cut a gun. And so I did. And so I engraved the first gun I did in October of 1979. The second gun that I engraved was for a Texas Ranger. And I was 17 years old. And I'll tell you something, when you're 17 and you have the kind of respect that I had for the Rangers, I thought, if I screw this up, this guy's either going to kill me or I'll be in prison for the rest of my life if I make a mistake on this. And so there was a lot of, shall we say, pucker factor involved, but I survived. The fellow liked it, and I had the opportunity to meet with him about 30 years later, and he still loved his gun, which was a great honor for me. If there was a time I could pick to live in for engraving, I think it would have been initially from 1850 to about 1920, and I would have gone to work for Colt Firearms and been a factory engraver, or like L.D. Nimsky was, a freelance contractor. And much of my work is based on inspiration by Nimsky. I don't copy anyone directly, but I take a lot of inspiration from his work, especially in my American style scroll. I think in my mind, God gives us all different gifts. We're not all the same. We're not created the same. And so when you find out where your area of giftedness is and you begin to work in that, it's more of a joy. It's not like work. It's what you're made to do. And for me, being artistic and creating these things is what I'm gifted in. There was something about when I picked up that hammer and chisel and I started doing this work, and I could see those cuts, as ragged and ugly as they were to begin with, there was just something fascinating about making that metal cut out of there and cutting these designs in that made me want to get better at it. A person has to make that tool do that work. And so that hand touch is there every time. And you see the touch of the artist in the work. We get bombarded on social media and places that we go with just stuff and just more stuff, and everything's disposable. And so when you encounter somebody who creates something by hand or takes the time to make it by hand, it makes a thing really special, whether it's something that's engraved or a piece of furniture or a musical instrument. When somebody takes the time and the effort to learn their craft, it's something that brings a great deal of satisfaction. I do it because I can. I have the awesome opportunity to do something I love to do. And even though at times I get tired and it may be tough to keep going, there's still that inner satisfaction of knowing that this is what I'm meant for. And I think so many times we see guys that hit midlife, somewhere around my age, and they flip out, they get a divorce, get a sports car and a blonde, and their life goes haywire. And part of that, I think, comes from they've been trapped in something for so long that wasn't what they were meant to do, and it just kind of explodes. You have like I said, a rich musical family heritage, but you got to go with Dad when he went to Nashville for Time Life when they were doing the series on Hank Williams, and there's his picture on the wall.
Hank, Minnie Pearl,
Minnie Pearl,
Drifting Cowboys,
and he said then you realize kind of that he was
who he was, and it kind of all sunk
in context, I guess, in that
Correct.
context. You've inherited a lot of that, but you're not wasting it. You're using it in your songwriting skills and your performance skills, and it's a really fantastic thing to see you moving in that
just
direction.
Kind of growing up around, all the history and stuff, it just takes a little while for it to sink in. I grew up hearing him singing all of those old songs, and Kansas City Blues, which is the first song that he got me to sing on with, which is how I got singing, was he made me do it. He wanted me to sing backup for him.
Right.
And I told him, I think I need voice lessons. He said, damn it, you don't need voice lessons. You need to just roar back and sing. I thought, okay, well, all right, I'll give it my best shot.
In my dreams, the only place love could ever be.
He left a big shadow to, some big shoes to fill, cast a long shadow, however you want to put it.
Right.
And,
but
in a couple of areas. And,
more than one. So that's just kind of who he was. And so that legacy, is living on not only through you and engraving, but now through me and music as well.
If you want to get good at something, I would encourage you, apply yourself. And the only thing stopping you from greatness is you. If you believe in yourself, if you will allow yourself to believe in yourself and keep at it, you know what? You're going to get there. But if you have a defeatist attitude and you think, I'll never do that, you know what? You're right. You never will. Believe in yourself and don't quit, and you'll achieve it. The end.